An American colonel is lying injured in the mountains of Iran right now. Iranian state television is broadcasting his location and offering a reward for his capture. The United States has less than 48 hours to find him first. And what happens next is being called one of the most daring rescue operations in modern military history. Let's rewind to Friday, April 3rd. It's day 35 of the U.S. and Israeli war against Iran, a conflict that started on February 28th and has already killed 13 American service members, wounded over 300, and cost taxpayers more than $11 billion in its first 6 days alone. For 5 weeks, American fighter jets have been flying deep into Iranian airspace, striking nuclear facilities, missile sites, and military bases. And for 5 weeks, Iran has not managed to shoot down a single manned U.S. aircraft. That streak ended on Friday afternoon, and what followed would test the U.S. military like nothing else in this war. At approximately 2 p.m. local time, somewhere over the rugged mountains of southwestern Iran, Iranian air defenses locked onto an F-15E Strike Eagle, a two-seat fighter bomber that's been the workhorse of the American Air Force for 4 decades. The jet was hit, both crew members ejected at high speed, their bodies slamming into the sky with forces violent enough to fracture vertebrae, dislocate shoulders, and knock a person unconscious. This was the first time an enemy nation had shot down a crewed American fighter jet since 1999, when Serbia brought down an F-117 stealth fighter over Yugoslavia. 27 years. Let that number sit with you. The pilot, the aircraft commander, was the lucky one. U.S. rescue helicopters, a pair of HH-60G Pavehawks, reached his position within hours and pulled him out alive. He's now receiving medical care. But the second crew member, the weapons systems officer, a colonel, landed deeper in Iranian territory, deeper in the mountains. Farther from help, he was completely alone, and that's when the nightmare began. Within hours of the shootdown, Iranian state media went into overdrive. Press TV released photos of what it claimed was the wreckage of the jet, images that CNN later confirmed were consistent with an F-15E based on the distinctive red stripe of the 494th Fighter Squadron out of RAF Lakenheath, England. They showed a damaged ejection seat. They showed scattered debris across a mountainside. And then, Iranian officials went on national television and essentially put a bounty on an American officer's head. They urged citizens across the region to help find him, to turn him in. Think about that for a second. An injured American colonel, on the ground in hostile territory, unable to speak Persian, with an entire country looking for him. But here's what most people don't realize about what was happening on the American side of this story. According to CNN's chief national security analyst Jim Sciutto, the downed airman actually made contact with U.S. military command as early as Friday, the same day he went down. The military knew roughly where he was. They were watching him from above. 24 hours a day. See, every U.S. fighter crew goes through a brutal training program called SERE: Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. It teaches them exactly what to do if they go down behind enemy lines, how to assess your injuries, how to find water, how to move without being detected, how to signal rescue aircraft without giving away your position. And this colonel did exactly what he was trained to do. He survived. He evaded. For nearly 2 days, in the mountains of Iran, while an entire nation hunted for him. Now the U.S. military didn't just have to find him, they had to get to him. And that was the real problem. He was deep inside Iran. The terrain was mountainous and remote. Iranian forces were actively searching the same area. Any extraction would mean flying American helicopters and transport planes into a country that had just proven it could shoot them down, landing on Iranian soil, picking up a wounded officer under potential enemy fire, and getting back out without losing more people. The Pentagon assembled a massive force, dozens of military aircraft, special operations teams on standby, A-10 Warthog attack planes for close air cover, Black Hawk helicopters for the extraction itself, and at least one C-130 military transport aircraft to serve as the primary pickup vehicle. According to Iran's own military reports, the Americans even identified an abandoned airstrip in the Isfahan region to stage the operation, a landing strip inside enemy territory. Early Sunday morning, April 5th, they launched. The rescue force crossed into Iranian airspace. Special operators on the ground located the colonel near a mountain in southwestern Iran. He was injured. Ejecting from a fighter jet at combat speed is what former Marine fighter pilot Amy McGrath described as a very violent thing to happen to the body. But he was alive, he was conscious, and he had evaded capture for almost 48 hours. The extraction was anything but smooth. Iranian forces engaged the rescue team. Reuters confirmed that 2 Black Hawk helicopters were hit by Iranian fire during the operation, though both managed to fly out of Iranian airspace. Separately, an A-10 Warthog providing air cover was struck and crashed over Kuwait, forcing its pilot to eject. And on the ground inside Iran, at least one American transport aircraft malfunctioned and had to be destroyed by U.S. forces themselves to prevent it from falling into Iranian hands. A regional intelligence official told the Associated Press that the military actually blew up 2 of its own transport planes due to technical failures, forcing them to call in additional aircraft to complete the extraction. Iranian state media immediately claimed a massive victory. The Tasnim news agency reported that Iranian forces had destroyed several enemy American aircraft, including 2 Blackhawks and a C-130 transport in the Isfahan region. State TV aired footage of thick black smoke and burning wreckage that CNN geolocated to southern Isfahan province. But here's what matters. Here's the only thing that matters. They got him out. The colonel was pulled from those mountains, loaded onto an aircraft on Iranian soil, and flown to safety. And then, on Truth Social, President Trump posted 2 words that instantly ricocheted around the world. We got him. Trump's full statement was triumphant. He called it one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history. He said the airman was rescued in the treacherous mountains of Iran, and that it was the first time in military memory that 2 U.S. pilots have been rescued, separately, deep in enemy territory. He confirmed the colonel sustained injuries, but he will be just fine. And he added a line clearly aimed at both Americans and Iranians. The fact that we were able to pull off both of these operations without a single American killed or even wounded just proves once again that we have achieved overwhelming air dominance and superiority over the Iranian skies. Retired Australian Major General Mick Ryan, a senior fellow at the Lowy Institute for Military Studies, put it more simply. He said this was a feat that no one in the world could pull off like the U.S. military has. But the story doesn't end with a helicopter lifting off. Because here's what this rescue really means, and why it matters far beyond one officer coming home. CNN national security analyst Alex Plitzis said it plainly. This rescue prevented the colonel from becoming a strategic bargaining chip for Tehran. If Iran had captured him, we'd be talking about a hostage crisis right now. We'd be talking about televised propaganda. We'd be talking about a POW situation that could have shifted American public opinion overnight in a war that polls already show is deeply unpopular. A Pew Research poll from March found that 61% of Americans disapprove of the military action in Iran. 2/3 want the war to end quickly. Had a captured American officer appeared on Iranian state television, those numbers would have cratered even further. That didn't happen. And Trump knew exactly what he had. He called on all Americans, Republican, Democrat, and everyone else to be proud of and united around this mission. It was, for a White House under mounting pressure over gas prices, war costs, and shifting timelines, a genuinely good day. But let's be honest about the bigger picture, because this rescue, as heroic as it is, exists inside a war that is far from over. Iran shot down an American fighter jet. That's the first time in decades an adversary has done that to us. 2 Blackhawks took hits. An A-10 went down. At least 2 U.S. transport aircraft were destroyed on Iranian soil. And according to Reuters reporting, U.S. intelligence shows that Iran still retains large amounts of missile and drone capability. The military could only confirm that about 1/3 of Iran's missile arsenal has been definitively destroyed after 5 weeks of bombing. 1/3, after 5 weeks. Meanwhile, oil prices are approaching $120 a barrel. Gas is up over 80 cents a gallon since the war started. American families are paying more for groceries, flights, and mortgages. The Houthis in Yemen have joined the fight, opening a new front. And just hours after announcing the rescue, Trump issued yet another ultimatum. Iran has 48 hours to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or in his words, all hell will rain down on them. That deadline expires Monday. So the question every American should be asking tonight isn't just whether we won this rescue mission. We did. It's what happens next. Does the Strait open? Do we send ground troops? Does Iran escalate with more shootdowns? Does the war spread even further? If you want those answers as they break, hit subscribe, because I'll be covering Monday's deadline in real time. And drop your prediction in the comments right now. Does Iran blink, or does this war just get bigger? Because here's the truth. This rescue was extraordinary. The bravery of those special operators was real. The survival of that colonel was real, and we should be proud of that. But one rescue, no matter how daring, doesn't end a war. What ends a war is a decision. And right now, nobody on either side seems ready to make one.